The fourth quarter GDP, gross domestic product number, came out yesterday, and it's the worst since the recession ended back in 2009. The economy shrank for the first time. It fell at a 0.1% annual rate. That is not good. It's largely driven by big cuts in defense.
And, you know, a lot of people were wondering if this president would actually be reelected based on the economic numbers that have been topsy-turvy over the last 4 years, but arguably not good for the last 4 years. So would people now look at the president's policies and this administration when these numbers came out? Well, not if you're the president's spokesperson. Here's who he says is to blame.
Our economy is facing a major headwind, which goes to your point, and that's Republicans in Congress. This is sort of political brinksmanship of the kind that results in one primary victim, and that's American taxpayers, the American middle class.
Well, they also say part of the reason why the economy is going down or is really suffering is the payroll taxes have increased. That was part of the deal that they cut. So if the Republicans are to blame, by the way, has the president ever taken blame for anything except for naming Tom Daschle as secretary and then not realizing that he took limos when he shouldn't have?
The blaming Bush thing, the novelty wore off.
I don't
think
it's
just blaming House Republicans.
It's unbelievable because they already cut a deal to stop for at least 3 months the debt ceiling being the problem. So right now you have the Fed printing money at a dizzying rate, unemployment staying at 7.8%, growth at 0.1%. But here's what you should keep in mind. The stock market's out of its mind. It's going through the roof. And the President of the United States, his approval rating is still through the roof. It's at 60%.
That's what I was just going to say. So how do you put this all together? I mean, I think a lot of people still scratching their heads over the election when you look at these economic numbers. So how do you piece it together in your mind that the economy can be doing so poorly and yet the president is more popular than ever?
There's just a
if you know the answer, email us or tweet us.
There are so many low information viewers and voters out there.
That's their choice.
It absolutely is their choice. You know, they don't know. And when the payroll tax hit at the first this year, suddenly they're going, where'd that money go? It was a shock to them. Senator John Thune yesterday tweeted after Jay Carney blamed the House Democrats. He said, or House Republicans, he said, White House press secretary blames GOP for economy while pushing higher taxes. What planet do these guys live on? Former Representative Alan West was on with Greta Van Susteren last night. This is his observation on the whole mess.
Well, it's the circular firing squad. I think that's what you're talking about. And in that case, nobody wins, especially the American people don't win, who are looking for leaders that can sit down and analyze this situation and come up with solutions. You know, Einstein said it very clearly. The definition of insanity is to continue to do the exact same thing and look for different results. What really concerns me is how the Federal Reserve is going to try to step in and stimulate the economy to the tune right now of about $85 billion that they're printing to try to buy up our own debt and our Treasury bonds so that they can stimulate the economy that way.
I have a personal story that could help clarify this.
Okay, thank you.
I remember when I first got my car, when people used to work on their cars, I used to stare at engines and just think to myself, I don't get it. So I brought it down to my mechanic at a regular basis, and I always had problems with it. And then finally my brother said to me, he's like, why do you keep bringing it to the same mechanic? You keep having the same problems. I said to him, I like the guy.
Sure.
I was low information, like the voter of today, because I didn't know anything about engines. And number two is, he might have been a bad mechanic, but I kind of like the guy.
Sure. I think it's all about the messaging. We talked a lot about this before the election. Some people don't like it when you bring it to the forefront. But the bottom line is that right now, this administration, during the campaign, and now is better at messaging. They've figured out the way to make everything really simple. You can call it dumbing it down. And then that's what they've put out. And if people don't do their own investigating, that's what they hear.